Mejana Hako get what power one share. It's what the Pia Yana grow women, so I'm really taking a piss. Them a kind of their one pay. It's me so the one I grew, I was it. Me person me Pia. Watch my swatch and I was so many what they got keen and me person me son the moon pa. They be be on a coast on your bay. All I gotta do is take your hand and run away. Puppy go your car and not tie. I said, Kinema, and I'm in better than the baby banana you late. I don't go look at your face. Scared to say, no kissing me. The person is on the moon, no touching me. Oh, my man, I'm moving like a time bomb. She want to explode. She a move like a time bomb. She ready to explode. She dey move like a time bomb. She want to explode. Short move like a time bomb. Ready to explode. Time bomb. Time bomb. Time bomb. Explosion. Time bomb. Time bomb. Time bomb. Explosion. Yo, man, two man don't come around. I want pretty ladies all around me. That sexy girl with the bad physique. I've never seen a girl like you. Can't you understand? Calm down. She's about to explode and can't confusion. My girl, she's bad. She's number one. I've never seen a girl like you. That girl, I tell you, she be time bomb. Move up some boogie, baby, wine on. Hey, your body they definer. This guy in boogie no be minor. No, this body be designer. Some girl fine, but you find her. Continue to wine up. Come me never seen a girl like you. Never let go wine. Time bomb. My body fire. Time bomb. She my desire. Time bomb. She lose control. Explosion. Sexy back, sexy Nina. Time bomb. She came with a friend called Sabrina. Time bomb. Don't stop, sister Nina. Time bomb. Baby, go low. I just wanna love you. Share with me your problems. Girl, you are the type of girl that bad man need. I just wanna love you. Share with me your problems. Girl, you are the type of girl that bad man need. Lean on me. My girl, you're the only one for me. You're the only thing I see. Lean on me. Oh, you're the only one for me. You're the only thing I
see. 95, 96, 97.3 Citi FM. It doesn't get any better than that. Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
.3 Citi FM. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe. Tonight I'm here with
Ejubi Wiafe Akenteng.
Coming up in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes.
We demand the implementation of the 4 agreed items not later than July 2025. This is non-negotiable.
Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association threatening resumption of strike if implementation of agreed demands are delayed. Tonight, we hear why the association is disappointed with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. Also coming up on Eyewitness News.
There is overwhelming evidence that this commission is not fit for purpose. There has to be a change. They have mismanaged the commission so badly.
The threat by the national chairman of the governing National Democratic Congress NDC to have the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and her 2 deputies removed for incompetence. Later on Eyewitness News.
I'm going to inform my chairman, that's the committee chairman, to summon PURC to come to the committee and come and explain to us. We can't accept this, that all of a sudden you just say you are increasing electricity tariffs.
The minority in Ghana's parliament wants the Public Utility Regulatory Commission PRC summoned before the House to explain the 2.45% increase in electricity tariffs. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News. Coming up in business.
Ghana Revenue Authority to roll out modified tax system for informal sector from July 1.
Eyewitness News is live on our affiliates across the country, around the globe, We are on citinewsroom.com. Talking about affiliates. If you're in the Western region, you can hear us on Premier 100.5 FM and Beach 105.5 FM in Takrade. In the Bono region, you can hear us on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, Akpini Radio 96.1 FM in Pando. Heritage FM in Hohoi, you can also hear us. And in the Northern region, Nasoma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In the Upper East region, you can hear us on WED 88.3 FM in Zuarungu. In the Upper West region, Westlink 88.1 FM in Lora. In the Northeast region, Eagle 94.1 FM in Walewale. In the Afro region, Hames Radio 106.5 FM. You can also join with your text messages on 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996. AGB has our first story.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has expressed strong disappointment in the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health for what it describes as a breach of an agreed roadmap aimed at resolving outstanding issues related to the implementation of revised conditions of service. This follows the association's decision to suspend its nationwide strike earlier this month based on assurances from the committee that concrete steps would be taken to implement 4 key items in the agreement. However, the association says the Health Committee has unilaterally rescheduled a crucial meeting initially planned for June 26 to July 10, 2025, citing the absence of some key stakeholders currently outside the country's jurisdiction. Addressing a press conference in Accra, the president of the group, Perpetual Foriampofo, criticized the development, warning that failure to meet the agreed timeline in good faith could compel the association to resume industrial action.
The strike was suspended in good faith, and we expect nothing less than a reciprocity of same. The rescheduling of the meeting, in our view, is in bad faith, since it may further delay the implementation of the agreed items. We have, however, decided to give the committee the benefit of hindsight and still trust that their engagement with the Ministries of Health and Finance will be productive. Number 2, we demand the implementation of the 4 agreed items not later than July 2025. This is non-negotiable, and we shall advise ourselves if any attempt is made to further delay the implementation.
Unit President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Perpetual Foriampofo.
Let's go to the phone line and speak to the Vice President of the Association, Samuel Akogo, on this development. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Good evening, and good evening to our cherished listeners and to you and your team.
Your president is unhappy and disappointed that a planned meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee could not come on today as originally scheduled. But there's been an explanation, and so if an explanation has come in, why are you still disappointed?
Well, when we say disappointed, we are using it advisedly, in the sense that every day that passes and the conditions of service is not implemented, somebody is losing something. Somebody is failing to get something. So why 10th? Why couldn't it have been much earlier? So we are looking at it. We are leading people who believe whatever message we get from the employers and send to them. We're giving the assurance to safe when we come, we'll put this matter to rest. Members were expecting to hear that good news. That would have been today. But unfortunately, the communications came postponing the meeting to 10th July. We owe it a responsibility to our members to let them know where we have reached, to let them know the obstacles we have encountered, so that it will not look like we are not putting up our best. But we have to always remember that every nurse or working in any particular unit have other professionals who are working there. They are already enjoying their conditions of service. So every day that a day is added to whatever that is proposed, it is affected us negatively. And that is why we are not so happy about it.
But the committee has proposed a date, which is the 10th of July, for this all-important meeting. Couldn't you have waited for the 10th for this meeting than coming out with a press conference to, express your grievances?
We owe it a duty to our members to let them know what is happening in good time. And it was also to let the whole country know what is going on. There can be a stage where they'll say, hey, these people again, their problem has been solved, and then they are coming back with another one. So we are just being very careful. We are just respecting the trust that our members have given to us. We are not downplaying the efforts that the Parliamentary Select Committee have been putting in. Apart from that, what we are saying is that we had 2 weeks to do this work. Why didn't this communication come much earlier? These are the questions our members will be asking us. And for that reason, we need to let them know that this is the snag we have reached. And for that matter, we need to exercise patience. Is it a possibility that on the 10th, this date can be postponed? That possibility is there. And that is why we are giving early signal that we will not be happy with that. The fact that we have accepted wait until 10th should be considered as being reasonable on our part.
So since you suspended the strike, there have not been any engagement at all until this particular meeting, which did not come on. There have not been any engagement at all.
Yes, please. And we were not expecting any other engagement than the 25th, as we all agreed in Parliament.
Your president says you will not let this go beyond July. So it means this agreement must be, implemented by within the month of July. If it's not, does it mean you are going to resume your strike?
When we get there, we will cross.
When you get there, you will cross.
Yes.
What will you cross?
Usually, I want to always remain positive. And the people we are dealing with, they are not just ordinary people. They are people of substance. They are people who are representative of the people. So I don't envisage that they will disappoint us. But in the unlikely event they disappoint us, the National Council will advise us what to do.
So now, does it mean that you do not want to deal with government again, and that you want to deal with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health? Is that the understanding?
That is not the case. We've got to realize that the Ministry of Health itself also had its constraints. It doesn't manage the national budget. So even if they make presentations and the Finance Ministry is not able to accommodate that, they will be incapacitated. Now, what we are seeing, what is being organized now, is going to involve the Parliamentary Select Committee, which is mediating between the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance on one side, and our side on the other side.
Okay, I get the understanding.
So it isn't that we've lost speed in government, but this arrangement, we see positive light in that direction because all the stakeholders will be involved. It will not be you go to one stakeholders, they will say one thing, then you move out, you go back, or when we went to the other side, it didn't work, and you will continue moving. It is the same thing that led us to where we didn't want to reach. So we believe in this process, and we are hoping that 10th July, we will not get there and they will tell us we are still doing this. We are going there to get what they have for us with clear timelines, including those that we have accepted that it should be implemented next year.
So now you're waiting for the 10th of July.
Yes, please.
I'll say a big thank you. A big thank you for your time. Sam Akogo is the Vice President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. They held a press conference today. They were supposed to have a meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health in respect of some demands they were making. You know, remember they suspended their strike because of the intervention of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. They were supposed to have another meeting today that will bring a finality to their issue. Unfortunately, that meeting did not come on. They say that there was a last-minute communication which says that the meeting has been postponed to the 10th of July. The 10th of July, they are not happy, and they believe that if this meeting does not come on the 10th of July, they may want to advise themselves. Which advice they may want to have, we do not know. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament addressed journalists in Parliament today in respect of the recent developments or this particular press conference that was held today by the association and its president. Let's hear the chairman of the committee, Dr. Mark Keck.
A meeting was rescheduled for 2 weeks. That is today, the 25th of June, 2025. As we speak now, the demands of the nurses have been converted into monetary terms. And there's a need for a preliminary meeting between the Ministry of Health, the Health Committee, and the Ministry of Finance to discuss the outcome of the analysis. However, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance, they are unavoidably absent from the jurisdiction. The committee therefore thought it prudent to inform the Nurses Association of the above development. I want to use this opportunity to reassure the nurses that the Health Committee, their own committee, and for that matter, Parliament, will continue to advocate for them. We are their representatives, and we represent them. We also represent the patients and all other citizens of Ghana. We will continue to work in our collective interests. I want to thank the Nurses Association for their understanding and cooperation.
You heard Dr. Mark Nawani, who is the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, addressing a press conference today, responding to the press conference earlier held by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association over a meeting that was supposed to take place today but was rescheduled or has been rescheduled to the 10th of July. Let's read some of your text messages on this particular subject matter. And Jones Adoboinla says, our hard-working nurses must exercise patience. The Mahama government will not disappoint them. As for the EC boss and the 2 deputy directors, they are even surprised that they are still it's an issue we'll discuss later on. Eko Ujiri in Chai Hill says, I feel very sorry for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. I am sad they believe the MPs. These are people who are hardly sincere or honest. They will dilly typically of the Ghanaian politicians. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafi, and tonight I'm here with Ejubi Wiafi. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we have more stories.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Charlie, where are you?
Boss man, I'm at the bank.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Wale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Masa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store, or dial *770# and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Uyafi, and tonight I'm here with Ejubi Uyafi. Let's still stay with the issues of the nurses and the Ghana registered nurses and the scheduled meeting which was expected to take place today. Let's speak to the ranking member on the Health Committee and the Member of Parliament for the Ifiduase Asokwe constituency, Dr. Nana Ayu Efiye. Doc, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, good evening, Sami, and a very good evening to your listeners.
Why did you disappoint the nurses? I mean, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. You were supposed to meet them today. What happened?
The Parliamentary Select Committee has not disappointed them. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Health is in readiness to meet them. The unavoidable absence of two important stakeholders occasioned the postponement of today's meeting, and subsequently scheduled for July 10th.
There's belief that the longer the meeting or the delay the meeting is also going to affect them because they also have a constituent to be updating them, and they believe that this is a strategy to keep them out for a very long time and government not to implement their demands.
In two parts, your question, I agree with them on one stretch of this question, which is they have their constituents to execute a mission and also to satisfy their interest. Given that these two ministers, Finance and Health, are not in town, Minister of Health is in Brussels with the President, I'm told, with the understanding from the leader of government's business and the majority leader, who says that the President has confirmed and waiting forward for a meeting between the Ministers of Health and that of Finance, and that would be coming off once the President is back. Given this, I would want the nurses to give again the benefit of state or the executives to show good faith to them, just as they have always shown to them. Yeah. So I don't think this was deliberate, especially as we are clear the Minister of Finance is in China, the Deputy Minister of Finance is in Abuja, and then also the Minister of Health is in Brussels with the President. I want to give the opportunity for the President to have his meetings with them as the majority leader, who told me before the minority can take a position on this issue again.
Doug, they are worried and very worried, and they say that they suspended the strike because of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. And if care is not taken, and this goes beyond the July 10th, they may want to advise themselves. And when they say they want to advise themselves, even though they have not said it automatically, it means that they may want to resume the strike. It's something we do not want to see.
We in the minority made it clear in that meeting that we are only showing good faith to you and to Ghanaians. But the nurses have demonstrated that same faith. Out of 8, you thought you can provide 4 now, and the next budget cycle will take care of the other 4. That's January. Everybody has demonstrated one, from the Nurses and Midwives Association, and then also from the minority. If the executive, those in the executive, do not show that faith, we are not here to hold bail for them. Just like we said in the committee, the minority would have no option than to support the nurses and midwives as soon as government does not demonstrate sufficient faith to the agreement that we all expect each side or all sides to abide by.
Doug, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Dr. Nana Eyuefie, he's the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament and the Member of Parliament for Efiduasi Asokore in the Ashanti region. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. EGB has some more stories.
President John Dramani Mahama says Ghana has spent approximately $67 million on vaccines in recent years through its partnership with Vaccine Alliance, Gavi. He added that the government has already paid $20 million this year as part of its co-financing obligations. Speaking at the Global Health Summit organized by Gavi and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation in Brussels, President Mahama outlined Ghana's ambition to transition from being a Gavi-sponsored country to becoming a donor nation by 2030.
Our partnership with Gavi is one of co-finance, and I'm proud to say that over the recent years, we spent almost $67 million on vaccines in partnership with Gavi. One of my first decisions as president was to uncap our national health insurance. The previous government had put a cap on the statutory fund of the national health insurance. So excess funding above a certain percentage of the budget went back into the consolidated fund. By uncapping the national health insurance, we've been able to give the insurance fund more than 3.5 billion cedis more. And so this has enabled the health insurance fund that puts up the funding for our partnership with Gavi to be able to front load $20 million for our co-finance partnership with Gavi this year.
We heard President John Dramani Mahama speaking there. Away from that, the minority in Parliament has announced plans to summon the management of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, to justify the recently announced 2.45% increase in electricity tariffs effective July 1, 2025. The group says key economic indicators such as gas prices, the exchange rate and inflation have remained relatively stable and therefore do not warrant an upward adjustment in electricity prices. Addressing the media, the ranking member on Parliament's Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaje, described the tariff increment as unacceptable.
The gas price has not gone up. Exchange rate is going down. These are some of the factors. Exchange rate, the highest for this year was I think $15.527. Okay, that was the highest in this year. The lowest was 10.20. Currently, exchange rate is 10.30. So why increasing? And inflation rate. Okay, these are the three factors. The inflation as at March was 22.4%. April was 21.2%. May 18.4%, and then June the research says it's going to be around 16%. So all the three factors, it has to be an increase because all the factors are going down. So we urge PURC to come up and explain to Ghanaians. And I'm going to also inform my chairman, that's the committee chairman, to summon PURC to come to the committee and come and explain to us. We can't accept this, that all of a sudden you just say you are increasing electricity tariffs to 2.45% without any explanation. What are the causes? We're supposed to even have a relief. It's supposed to go down for Ghanaians to accept it. Because when you compare Ghana, a lifeline a consumer, okay, a lifeline consumer in Ghana pays 0.05 kilowatts per hour in dollar terms. Okay, that's lifeline. A standard residential, all of you, I know you are a standard residential, you are not lifeline because you are working. So a standard residential also supposed to pay around 0.12 to 0.16 in dollar term per kilowatt per hour. When you compare to Cote d'Ivoire, okay, it's the same. So why are you going to increase now?
You had Ranking Member on Parliament's Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaje, speaking there. Now, Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has called for the removal of the entire leadership of the Electoral Commission, EC, asserting that the current team is unfit to manage credible elections in Ghana. He cited the disenfranchisement of the Seoul constituencies in the 2020 general elections as the beginning of what he believes has been a consistent pattern of poor performance under the leadership of EC chairperson Jean Mensa. Speaking on Joy News yesterday, Asiedu Nketia criticized the Commission's handling of recent electoral matters, particularly the unresolved parliamentary election in Ablekuma North, which he believes signals deeper institutional failure.
Everything has been emerged. So there is overwhelming evidence that this commission is not fit for purpose. And if any serious country will want to maintain this type of electoral commission, then I don't know what the country is about. There has to be a change. I think the three top leadership must all go. They have mismanaged the commission so badly that the Constitution has given us the path to remove them. And that is what is happening to the Supreme Court. You may be guaranteed, but there is no position under our Constitution. There is no appointee or state functionary who cannot be removed under this Constitution. There's a procedure of removing the president. There's a procedure of removing Speaker of Parliament. That's why there's a procedure for removing Chief Justice. Everybody has, a way of holding them accountable. Because if you make an appointee or a state functionary who is not accountable to anybody, there's no way to hold them to check, then you breed a monster. And so when you look through the Constitution, everybody in the Constitution can be changed.
You had Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, speaking there.
Let's go to the phone line and speak to Nana Eje Bafwewa. He's the Member of Parliament for the Meshia South constituency, to get a reaction on this particular statement made by the National Chairman of the NDC. Nana, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Should we be worried that such a statement is coming from the National Chairman of the NDC?
Extremely. Another evidence determination wrecked our democracy. So we should all be worried. And it saddens me more to feel that it's coming from Mr. Johnson. It's here. It not come from the mayor and very experienced. So we feel
Hello, Nana. Nana, it's terrible hearing you. We'll be glad if you can reposition yourself.
Can you hear me?
It's better. It's better.
I said that it's sad. Mr. Johnson Nketia, a man who is so experienced, has reaped significant fruits from our democracy, should be in a position to gather all of us to taking our democracy back. And this is coming from him. What is the consequence? Consequence is that what he is going to be implemented. We saw his comments to the removal processes of the city being commenced.
Nana, I'm afraid the connection is still terrible. I would be glad. I'll be glad if you can move from where you are.
Is it better?
Let's try again. Let's try again and see.
Is it better?
Still. I'm sure we can reach you on another line because it's giving terrible feedback and we can hardly hear anything you're saying. Nana Eje Bafwewa is the member of parliament for the Menchia South constituency in the Ashanti region, reacted to a statement made by the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, when he granted an interview to Joy News yesterday. The national chairman was not really happy with the work of the Electoral Commission. Talk about the chairperson and her two deputies, making indications that there may be processes to remove all three from office. Let's hear the national chairman again.
Everything has been removed. So there is overwhelming evidence that this commission is not fit for purpose. And if any serious country will want to maintain this type of electoral commission, then I don't know what the country is about. There has to be a change. I think the three top leadership must all go. They have mismanaged the commission so badly that the Constitution has given us the path to remove them. And that is what is happening to the Supreme Court. You may be guaranteed, but there is no position under our Constitution. There is no appointee or state functionary who cannot be removed under this Constitution. There's a procedure of removing the president. There's a procedure of removing Speaker of Parliament. That's why there's a procedure for removing Chief Justice. Everybody has, a way of holding them accountable. Because if you make an appointee or a state functionary who is not accountable to anybody, there's no way to hold them to check, then you breed a monster. And so when you look through the Constitution, everybody in the Constitution can be changed.
You are the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, in that interview with Joy News. In a short while, we will speak to Nana Eje Bafwewa. He's a member of parliament for the Menchia South constituency, who says that Ghanaians should be worried that such a statement or a comment is coming from the national chairman of the governing NDC. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll do the interview.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions
and send tweets,
where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.ga or your My MTN app to sign up today. Everywhere you go.
Oh,
Oh, jump on now.
Go, the go. Gugomi, at what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I'll go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind said, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my go be fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the go be too small.
The go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. Ejubi has some more stories.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, has filed an appeal challenging a High Court ruling in Kumasi that acquitted and discharged Alexander Kwabena Safo Kantanka, the former nominee for Municipal Chief Executive MCE of Jabeng in the Ashanti region. Mr. Safo Kantanka was at the center of public controversy after a video surfaced in 2021 showing him demanding refunds from assembly members who had voted against his confirmation. The OSP subsequently charged him with 26 counts of corruption, alleging he paid bribes to influence the outcome of the confirmation vote. Although the judgment was initially scheduled for delivery in November 2024, it was delayed due to the transfer of the presiding judge and was eventually delivered on May 26, 2025. The court ruled that the video did not provide sufficient evidence directly linking him to the alleged bribery. In a statement issued today, the OSP expressed strong disagreement with the ruling, describing it as inconsistent with the weight of the evidence. Now, former Eastern Regional Minister Seth Echampong has expressed concern over the ongoing impeachment proceedings against suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. He warned that the manner in which the process is unfolding could set a dangerous precedent and undermine the foundation of Ghana's democracy. Speaking on Channel 1 TV's Breakfast Daily, Mr. Echampong cautioned that the current handling of the matter risks eroding public confidence in the judiciary.
I will sit and tell all of us that what we are doing to the Chief Justice will come back to haunt us as a people. It is not fair and it is not right. The rules tells us, if you go to Article 296, we must, where the Constitution do not prescribe in certain terms, we need to establish certain rules by way of instruments to guide those who will be doing the bidding of the Constitution in such processes.
That was the former Eastern Regional Minister Seth Echampong speaking there.
Let's go back to the phone lines this time. Let's go back to the phone line. This time we're hoping for a better connection. I speak to Nana Eje Bafewa. He's a member of Parliament for the Menchia South constituency. Nana, good evening once again. I hope this time around the connection is better.
Hopefully, my brother.
Sure. So you were making a submission that we should all be worried that such a statement is coming from.
We should be worried because it's clearly an indication of things to come. They told us that they were going to remove the Chief Justice, and it happened. It was the same Mr. Siedun Ketia, subsequently by his deputy, Mustafa Bande. And then we are all witnesses to what is going on. Today they are telling us they are going to they think that the EC head, the commissioners, should be removed. Clearly, it's an indication of what is ahead. But fundamental question would be, whose interest is it going to serve? Are we going to get to the point where every government will come in with its Chief Justice and every government will also come in with his EC head isn't good for our democracy. It's very dangerous. We shouldn't encourage it. The issues or the things that he cites against the EC as the basis and say that they are incompetent, I find them very unfortunate. The most celebrated electoral commissioner in the history of this country is Mr. Farijan. In the year 2012, Mr. Farijan organized the presidential elections over a period of 2 days. Right? Was that competence or incompetence? And this is Mr. Farijan, Dr. Farijan, who had been in that position for over a decade. But even that, he struggled to hold or organize the 2012 elections. That was certainly not incompetence, and yet we continue to celebrate Dr. Farijan. Look, what have they done? If you organize 275 elections in 275 constituencies, and one of them you don't get it right, can that be incompetence? What's the percentage? Let's look at Ablikumanov. The EC has consistently said they are ready to declare. All they need is the support of the security. Give them the security support, and they will declare the results. You are refusing to give them the support, and you are saying that on the basis of that they are incompetent. Between the EC head and the police who are refusing to give them the support, who is incompetent? Then the police IGP should also be removed, because he is not able to provide the needed support in this case. But I wouldn't say that. I expect Mr. Sidun Ketia, with his years of experience in politics, having seen both sides, the two sides of the coin, he witnessed military rule, he has witnessed democracy. He's one of the biggest beneficiaries of our democracy, having risen from having risen through the ranks to the position of the chairman of the NDC. He should be using his experience to make our democracy better, rather than destroying it by agitating or instigating some of these things. They don't help. Today, as we speak, when government changes, look at all state-owned enterprises. It's gotten to the point where executive directors are even being removed. Executive directors, to the point where communication directors are even being removed. Right? What are we doing to ourselves? We are destroying the country. We are destroying the democracy. It is not good. And so I don't think it is the way to go. I don't think so at all. If Dr. Farijan was not removed for organizing the general elections over a period of 2 days, right? Certainly, if that was not incompetence, then not being able to do it for one constituency or missing out and not 1 over 275 can certainly not represent incompetence.
But his argument is that if care is not taken, the Blekuma constituency issue may turn out to be like SAR, where a whole 4 years there was no representation in Parliament.
Called SAR?
No, I mean,
there a constituency? Let me ask: is there a constituency called SAR? There's no constituency called SAR. There is a constituency called Ablikumanov. Very respectfully, with all due respect to the people of the people that were covered in that unfortunate situation in the Volta region or the Uti region, where the situation, the subjects under reference may cover. With all due respect to them, I don't intend to offend their sensitivity. But what I'm saying is that when we look at the issue at bar, right? The issue at the bar is simply an issue of, I wouldn't say that if I have conducted elections, I would say if you have conducted elections in about 275 constituencies, right? And one of them, there's a glitch. That can certainly not be an incompetence. When you take the issue of Ablikumanov, the EC says, we are ready. How can Ablikumanov be equated to a place that didn't have representation? How can it be equated? Election has been held there. The subject matter of SAL, there was no elections, was there. The EC has said that the results are ready. We need security protection to declare the results. My brother, why do you want to call the dog a bad name and hang it? Let's assist them. Shouldn't Mr. Shedin Ketia very respectfully, with all his pedigree in Ghanaian politics, be playing the role of a mediator to demonstrate that he's an experienced, thoughtful, and patriotic leader, rather than inciting the removal of the EC and setting back our democracy? Is that the way they want us to go? I don't think it is proper.
You believe that this is maybe equalization because the previous NPP administration under President Akufo-Addo may removed, Charlotte was saying, so more or less like payback time? Is that your thinking? Could that be?
Perhaps, but the point is, this time calls for leadership. And Mr. Shedin Ketia should show leadership. He should show that he's distinct in terms of the leadership that we've seen in this country. That then qualifies him for a higher calling, or that would establish him, right? We need leaders to rise to the occasion, right? To have patriotic leaders who mean well, leaders who want this country to grow, leaders who want this country to do well, and not to derail our democratic hearing. Mr. Shedin Ketia is one of the people currently around that can help us do that. He has the experience, he has the pedigree. He should help us grow our democracy, right? The things he's saying, it shouldn't come from him. It shouldn't come from him. It's unfortunate it's coming from him.
In this instance, will it be a threat? Has been announced. Should it put? I'm saying that this particular comment has been made by Mr. Johnson Shedin Ketia. You have raised issues with it. You think the electoral commissioners currently should be more or less thinking of finding ways of even resigning before processes may start against them, as we are seeing against the Chief Justice?
They shouldn't jump. They should wait and see how this is going to pan out. But when it happens, and we say it is politically motivated, and they say it is not, let this be on record that we were all forewarned by Mr. Shedin Ketia of their intentions. But let it also be on record for the purposes of posterity that Mr. Shedin Ketia, who could have helped avoided the situation, is the one leading it. It's unfortunate, and it shouldn't be so.
Nana, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Nana Eje Bafwe, is the Member of Parliament for the Menchia South constituency in the Ashanti region. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. Let's read some of your text messages on this particular subject matter. Daniel from Sandema says, General Mosquito is absolutely right. Jen Mensah and her deputies have outlived their youthfulness. Their track record is not good. A marks of incompetence, bias, and disregard for transparency, from flawed register to shoddy results. They have overstayed their welcome. They deserve to leave their sins. They are too incompetent. Joseph in Akasori says, the removal of the EC boss is long overdue. The EC and her deputy should have been removed long time ago, even by the previous NPP administration. They were blatantly and horribly abysmal. I am really surprised that they are still at post. Akapo in her form said, the NDC is on a mission to sack every appointee by President Nana Akufo-Addo. Ghanaians must stand against such unwarranted behavior before they turn our democracy upside down. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. AGB has some more stories.
Student Affairs at the University of Ghana, Professor Rosina Tremantin, has clarified that lectures will not be suspended despite a rise in reported COVID-19 cases. The university's management had earlier issued a statement suspending all social gatherings after observing an increase in symptoms consistent with COVID-19 Speaking on the Citi Breakfast Show, Professor Tremantin explained that the suspension of social events was prompted by students' failure to adhere to earlier safety precautions when the first cases emerged. She noted that the measure is intended to prevent potential super spreader events, especially as the university enters a period of Mass Hall Week celebrations.
The numbers were increasing, so more people were coming into the hospital with flu-like symptoms and testing positive for COVID. And so they advised us to let the students know that this is what is going on, and so they should observe the COVID protocols. That's why the first statement was issued on the 23rd of June. But we noticed that they were not observing the protocol, and so we needed to put out another statement to not to cancel but to suspend social gatherings, because this is the time when most of the halls are having their hall weeks. The departmental associations are having their week celebrations and so on and so forth. And so the chances that more people are going to be infected, the chances are high. And so we needed to put that statement across.
Reacting to concerns that the university may be overreacting by its directive, Professor Rosina Tremantin argued that the university is being proactive.
Yeah, but we shouldn't wait for somebody else to do it before we do it. We work very closely with our health services directory, and they have been updating us with the numbers, and we see that the numbers are going up. And so we are not going to wait till it gets out of hand.
Professor Rosina Tremantin is Dean of Students of the University of Ghana.
Let's speak to the Ghana Health Service on this issue. And Dr. Franklin Seodubequin is Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service. Doc, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. We thought COVID was gone. How come we are seeing numbers being recorded at the campus of University of Ghana?
Thank you. COVID never left. COVID has always been with us since 2020. So I think we need to put in a clear perspective. I think somewhere last year, the WHO Director General said that COVID is no more a public emergency of international concern. We never said COVID is gone. If COVID is gone, WHO will declare the pandemic over. So Ghana, we've had our similar system in place, I would say, since. And we do regular surveillance looking for influenza and COVID. That COVID, the virus is SARS-CoV-2. And we have been getting SARS-CoV-2 ever since. I mean, for the past 2 or 3 years, we've been getting SARS-CoV-2. What happened was that, in as much as we get some cases, this one, there was this whole week in the university. And I think that because you have a cluster of students, and possibly one or two would have gotten the virus, it caused a spread of the virus. But I need to put in context that COVID has never gone. So this is not the first time that we are getting the virus. We have gotten it over the past months and weeks.
The University of Ghana is a big community, huge numbers of people, in there, students per se, and then non-teaching staff. And this happening there, should we be worried that it's happening at University of Ghana? What about the other campuses? Is it that they have not reported any issue, but there is only University of Ghana reporting?
Oh, you see, as I said, we've been getting SARS-CoV-2 over the period. You see, what happened is that this one was, I would say, a spreader event. When they had the whole week, and 1 or 2 people possibly had the virus, and they spread it. But then, normally, what happens is that if you have such a cluster, and based on wherever they are, it will tend to, I would say, even out. So this one, it happened, and somehow it appeared that both of them were around the same locality, and then that's how come we are getting this in cases. But one thing which is come clear, that we need to make sure that if we need to report the cases, we need to make sure that the COVID-19 protocols are fully brought to bear, because it's about contact. It's about how close the virus is to you. And for now, if you look at what yesterday the university came about, that they are no more going to support any mass gatherings. So it's an idea to minimize the spread of the virus. So I think that it's in the right direction. What we are doing with the as a service is that we are working with the university. And I need to state that the service and the university have been working over the past almost 2 weeks on this I would say this staging cases. So it's not that the university was on its own in the service on the other side. Just that hello?
Finally, before you go, should those of us outside the university community also begin to consider, taking seriously the protocols?
Yes, if you look at our press release, the press release does not only apply to people in the campus. It applies to every person in Ghana that we have a virus in the country. What happened was that when we did the genomic analysis, this is one of the Omicron viruses. It is not that fatal, but it spreads fast. So we need to make sure that all the measures that we put in place that averted the spread of COVID-19 applies. So make sure that you wash your hands with soap and running water. Make sure that you wear your mask when you are in a very enclosed place where there's poor ventilation. And then make sure that you practice good cup etiquette. So those things will fully apply so that we don't have this surge cases. And I need to state, globally, we get sporadic cases of SARS-CoV-2 or COVID. So this is not the first time. What is most important is how soon we can curtail it.
Doc, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Franklin Esiedubekwe is Director of Public Health of the Ghana Health Service. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe, and tonight I'm here with Ejubi Wiafe. We'll go for business, and when we come back from business and we do point blank, tonight we have the U.S. Embassy as our guest.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ejubi Wiafe Akente. Let's settle for the details. Beginning July 1, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, will implement a modified tax system to boost tax compliance and revenue collection from the informal sector. Under the revised framework, informal sector workers who are not currently registered with the GRA but earn annual sales below 20,000 Ghana cedis will be required to pay a fixed quarterly tax ranging between 25 and 45 Ghana cedis. At the launch of the final reports on informal sector tax compliance research by Budgeted Ghana and its partners, Assistant Commissioner for Research and Policy at GRA, Dr. Alex Combat, explained that the new policy is to broaden the country's tax base and ensure equity in revenue mobilization.
So these are the taxpayers, or these are the people who are actually carrying out businesses along our streets. The wache sellers, the cocoa sellers, those on our street selling. When you go to Makola, they are there. So they are the unregulated. So what do we do so that at least they also be able to contribute their little quota to the national development? So what we have actually done is this. We have come up with a system we call the modified taxation. So I'm told in July, maybe by 1st July, we will start it to be launched, and then we start. Actually, we've started the policy. We've been educating the taxpayers. Our tax officers are carrying out the education, and some are actually paying using the modified tax regime.
That was Dr. Alex Combat, Assistant Commissioner for Research and Policy at the Ghana Revenue Authority. Moving on, former Finance Minister and Presidential Advisor on the Economy, Setekpe, says the continent must begin using stabilization funds during periods of economic crisis rather than resorting to the routine introduction of new taxes. The over-reliance on tax measures, according to him, distorts tax systems and places undue pressure on already burdened citizens and businesses. For him, there is a need to strengthen stabilization funds to serve as reliable buffers during economic downturns.
You raise revenue before you spend, right? So if the revenue is distorted, you won't have enough sufficient money, for expenditure, and that leads to borrowing to fill the gap. And then we are going down into debt. So that's why the revenue system is very important. So it's inevitable that once in a while there will be developments which will result in a review of the taxes. But often we are tempted to introduce new taxes, sometimes old taxes that were taken off. When the VAT was introduced, actually, replaced a lot of consumption taxes. Many of them have come back in the form of the levies. So when we have issues and difficulties, that's where we should fall on mechanisms like the stabilization fund, so that we are not tempted to use the tax, to introduce new taxes and then make it difficult to administer and make it difficult for taxpayers to comply with. So that's the appeal I'm making, that every country has, pillars of tax.
That was former Finance Minister and Presidential Advisor on Economy Seth Terkper speaking at the official launch of his book titled Value Added Tax in Africa, The Ghana Experience. Now, the Bank of Ghana has rejected suggestions that existing commercial banks should be solely responsible for addressing the financing needs of women-led businesses. The central bank says the proposed Women's Development Bank remains the most effective strategy to close the persistent credit gaps faced by women entrepreneurs, particularly in sectors like trade, agriculture, and technology. First Deputy Governor Dr. Zachary Mumuni believes that the new bank will offer targeted financial solutions tailored to the unique needs of women-owned enterprises for inclusive economic growth.
Beyond access, ladies and gentlemen, we are also committed to gender-inclusive finance. In 2023, Ghana joined the African Development Bank's AFAWA initiative, supporting financial institutions to unlock credit for women entrepreneurs through risk-sharing instruments and technical assistance. Even more, under the leadership of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, Ghana is establishing a Women's Development Bank with a seed capital of over 51 million Ghana cedis allocated in the 2025 budget. This institution will directly address the persistent credit gap faced by women-led businesses, particularly in agriculture, trade, and in the tech areas. These initiatives reflect our belief that women's financial inclusion is not a social obligation, but a smart economic strategy.
That was First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Zachary Mumuni, speaking there. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs is demanding parliamentary scrutiny over the government's decision to extend Tullow Oil's petroleum licenses beyond their current expiration dates. The IEA argues that any extension, especially for key blocks like the West Cape 3 Points and Deepwater Tunnel, must be approved by Parliament in line with the Ghana's constitutional requirements. Tullow Oil's existing licenses are set to expire in 2036. However, a recent memorandum of understanding between the government and the oil firm seeks to extend operations until 2040. Speaking at an IEA roundtable, barrister and solicitor Victor Ankuchade cautioned that the extension represents a material change to the original agreement.
Parliament originally gave the approval for the license with a timeline that runs until 2036. So in my opinion, any extension beyond that date isn't just an administrative step, it's a legal matter that requires fresh validation by Parliament. This isn't about formality for its own sake. It goes to the heart of constitutional oversight. Our legal framework is built on the principle that the people's representative must have an opportunity to examine it and, if necessary, improve the terms under which resources are managed. Without that scrutiny, we risk sidelining the very accountability the Constitutional demands. Accordingly, Ghana must now refocus efforts on aligning petroleum agreements with the fiscal governance expectations established under Act 919 and the Petroleum Management Revenue Act.
That was barrister and solicitor Victor Ankuchede speaking there. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Mines is projecting improved gold production this year as part of efforts to bolster the country's export earnings and help stabilize the city. The chamber says member companies are not only ramping up production, but also repatriating a greater portion of their profits into the Ghanaian economy. Chief Operating Officer of the chamber, Ahmed Nantogma, attributes the expected output growth to sustained investment and increased operational efficiency across the sector.
It's not because when they repatriate their profits, it affects the city. Mining companies return over 74% of whatever they make into this country. And that has been the norm for over the past 10 years. So it's just the approach to how we are using our currency that has helped change. And also, like Ken said, geopolitical activities also affect some of these things. If you know what Trump is doing, the tariffs and against what China, a lot of people are moving away from the dollar. And that also let the dollar reduce the shine. So those things, but working together, even with the gold board and everybody, to keep the mining industry afloat, then we can continue to see that we have a long-term stabilization of our currency. We don't want flash in the pan. Today is up, tomorrow is down.
That was the Chief Operating Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Ahmed Nantogma, speaking there. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ijubi Wiafe Akente. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action no. Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my go be fast then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the go be too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Still unbeatable. Republic Bank has slashed the city mortgage interest rate to a new low. That means it's more affordable to own your dream home. You enjoy lower monthly installments, save on interest payments, flexible loan arrangements, and more. Make the move. Own your home at a lower teen interest rate. But hurry, this offer lasts for a limited time. Visit any Republic Bank branch or send email to myhome@republicghana.com or call Accra 054-0109-649. Kumasi 054-0109-901 to apply today and enjoy a teen interest rate. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. And this is Point Blank. On Point Blank tonight, we speak to officials of the American or the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy has a new visa policy, the expanded screening and vetting for visa applicants. Let's go to the phone line and speak to Elliot Fettig, who is the Consul General at the U.S. Embassy here in Accra. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time, Elliot.
Good evening, Fami. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be on the air with your listeners.
First of all, what are these new guidelines or requirements for applicants of the FM and J visas?
Yes. So, as you may know, we recently resumed the scheduling of new student visa appointments. But as part of this process, we are now engaged in enhanced vetting of applicants' online presence and their social media accounts. And the reason for this enhanced vetting is to make sure that they qualify for the visa and do not pose any kind of danger to the security of the United States. This is something we've always done, actually. We've always reserved the right to engage in looking at a person's entire picture, whether that be their online presence, the answers they give during the interview, documents, or anything else. What is new is that we are giving a particular focus on the online presence for student visas. And in particular, we're now asking student applicants, before they come for an interview, to set their social media accounts to a public profile to facilitate this enhanced vetting.
Why has it become necessary to vet these social media accounts?
Well, as I said, this is something we've always had reserved the right to do. Under this administration, there is definitely an emphasis on making sure that visa applicants qualify for the visa and do not pose a risk to the security of the United States. And this enhanced vetting is simply to make sure that students who want to come to the United States and study are coming to do that and not coming for any other purpose and do not have anything else in their background, which would mean that they do not qualify for the visa.
Elliot, how does the U.S. Department of State detect or handle cases of fraudulent documentation in visa application?
We take those cases of visa fraud, including those involving documents, extremely seriously. Our officers, when they do interviews, first of all, they usually don't look at documents. But when they do look at documents, they are trained to see things that are fake, and they can usually catch them very quickly because they've had a lot of experience looking at documents. Engaging in fraud, including with fake documents, is a very serious matter. Someone who is engaged in visa fraud can face a range of penalties, starting with that their visa application will be denied. They also could be barred from entering the United States for a certain period of time, up to and including life, and they may be subject to prosecution under both United States and Ghanaian law.
Can you elaborate on the consequence of, let's say, I have a visa, but I have overstayed in the U.S., and how is this going to affect my future applications?
Absolutely. The consequences of overstaying your visa, just like the consequences of any kind of violation of U.S. immigration law, are very severe. If you overstay your visa, you face the potential that you will not be allowed to readmit to the United States. You could be deported. Any future visa applications you make could be denied. You may even be subject to criminal prosecution. It just isn't worth it. But perhaps the most stark consequence for people who don't obey the rules, who overstay or they engage in visa fraud, is they make it harder for law-abiding Ghanaians to get visas in the future. And we know that most of the people who apply for a visa from Ghana want to come to the United States for legitimate purposes. They want to come for a short period, study, travel, engage in business, and then come back. And unfortunately, these cases where people do not follow the law make it harder for everyone.
How do you advise Ghanaians, who are bent on traveling to the U.S., but in the process, they do not know the process? They may want to engage the services of, locally we call them agents, to help them secure the visas. What advice do you have with such individuals?
Sure. I would say two things to applicants who are considering engaging the services of a third party for any kind of help with the visa process. First of all, you can do the visa process, applying for a visa, yourself. The instructions on how to do so are clearly outlined on our website, and it can give you step-by-step instructions on what you need to do to apply for a visa. Furthermore, on our website, there are phone lines that you can call and email addresses that you can write to if you encounter any difficulties during the visa application process. The second thing I would say is that you should beware of anyone who claims that they have some sort of inside track or they have a special advantage they can give you, when you're applying for a visa or trying to get a visa appointment. They are not telling you the truth. There is no special way to get a visa or to get a visa appointment. The only way is to follow the process that everyone else does. And people who say that, sometimes people say they can do special things and they charge thousands of dollars. And I have to tell you, sometimes we get very sad stories of people who come to us and tell us, I paid, $5,000 US, and they told me I would get a visa. And of course, they don't get a visa. And we work with the Ghanaian authorities to try to catch people who engage in visa fraud, or people who rip off ordinary Ghanaians as part of the visa process. But still, the best way to prevent this is not to do it in the first place.
Elliot, the accusation from people who may want to engage the services of these agents is that the process is cumbersome, and so they want to get someone who has an idea to help them get into the system. Is the process cumbersome?
I don't think it's cumbersome. I think that it is. I mean, it is straightforward, as is outlined on our website. It explains to you how you can go online. With our online website, you make an account. It tells you how you can pay for the visa application fee, and then it tells you how you can make an appointment. Now, are there some people who, like travel agents, who might help you through the process for a small fee? I'm sure there are people like that, and as long as they don't try to evade the regular procedures, I have no quarrel with them. But I can tell you that the vast majority of the people who apply for visas at the U.S. Embassy do it on their own. They do not engage the help of a third party, and they tell us that they have found that they understand the process and they're able to do it without having to pay any extra money.
If I have a date and I'm going for an interview, how do I prepare for such an interview? Because we are told that your performance at the interview will determine whether you get a visa or not.
That's a great question, and I'm happy to give some thoughts about the best way to get ready for the visa interview itself. First of all applicants should remember that most visa interviews are very short. Our officers have to see sometimes over 100 people a day, and that means they have to make decisions quickly, and they do the interview in a relatively short amount of time, which means that you have to be prepared to put your best foot forward and show the officer that you qualify for the visa. The second thing I will say is that in general, most of the time, officers are not going to look at your documents. They simply don't have time. Instead, what they're going to do is they're relying upon what you tell them during the interview. Your answers to the officer's questions are the most important thing for the officer when they are deciding whether or not you qualify for the visa. The third thing is that there are some common questions, especially for tourist visas or student visas, that you should be prepared to answer. For example, for tourist visas, the officer may ask you questions like, why do you want to go to the United States? What is your job or your occupation here in Ghana? Or have you ever traveled outside of Ghana before? For a student interview, they'll probably ask you questions about what do you intend to study in the United States? Tell us about your academic background. And they will also ask you, how are you going to pay for your studies? Which is an important question because studying in the United States is not cheap. And believe me, I know, because I'm sending my oldest son off to college in America right now, and it is not a cheap thing to do.
But even if the person, gets admission, shows the document of admission process, and goes to the interview, and you still want to ask how the person is going to pay, even the person has admission, would that be an issue?
Can you repeat the question? I don't think I quite caught it.
I'm saying that even when the person shows documents of admission and comes in for an interview, and you ask that, what is the purpose, or more or less like, how is the person going to pay for the fees? If I show admission letter, do I still, do you still ask how I'm going to pay the fees?
Sure. I think that if I understand your question correctly, you're asking about documents and how are they looked at by the interviewing officer. I think that in general, as I said before, most of the time they don't look at it. Sometimes they do, and I'm not saying that applicants shouldn't bring documents at all. You should be prepared for it, but just be aware. But of course, first be aware that it's likely they will not be looked at, and second, the most important thing also is to bring only real documents. We see people who bring fake documents, and unfortunately, sometimes they even are people who might have otherwise qualified for the visa. But if you bring a fake document to your interview, that destroys your credibility, and we're not going to give you the visa.
There are some concerns about the system of making payments before securing an interview appointment, which is limited. Is it possible to make appointment after getting the appointment date?
Unfortunately, it is not. Under U.S. law, the State Department, the embassy, must charge each visa applicant the exact cost of how much it costs for us to process the visa application, no more, no less. And that means that when we charge the application fee, that cost is going directly to paying for how we process the visas, the officers and just the time that it takes to do so. And that means that whether or not the visa is issued or denied, we still spent the money to process the visa, and that is why we are not able to. The person has to pay regardless of the outcome. I will say that sometimes people say that we're trying to just gin up fees or gin up business, and that's why we charge so much. Well, first I would say to that, one, we only charge what it costs, no more, no less, and that's what only we're allowed to charge under U.S. law. Second, I think it's fair to say that demand for visas is already very strong. We don't need to make more. We are just simply, in fact, we try to meet the demand as much as we can.
Hello, finally, before I let you go, there are reports that the U.S. Embassy in Ghana has a quota system where there's a day to give a number of visas. The more reason why we are seeing a number of denials. Is that really the case?
No, that is not the case at all. Every case is decided on the basis of the qualifications of the person who's in front of them. There are no quotas. There are no guidelines that you can only issue so many visas. In fact, when an officer is at the visa interview window, they don't know whether or not they're going to issue the next person who comes up to talk to them. They are going to make that decision based solely upon what the applicant says and what is in their application and any other information that the officer gathers during the interview. There are no quotas, and that's why we tell people that you put your best foot forward, prepare for the interview, and as much as possible, we welcome Ghanaians who are coming to travel to the United States as long as they follow the rules.
So for Ghanaians who desire to go to the U.S., what will you tell them finally?
What I would say to Ghanaians who want to go to the U.S. is that if you follow the rules, if you obey the law, and you go for the purpose of which you said you were going to go and for which the visa was given, you will have a safe, happy trip to the United States.
Elliot, thank you very much for your time. Elliot Fedek is the Consul General at the U.S. Embassy here in Ghana. Thank you very much for your time. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, and this is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Let's go to Parliament now, where the Communications Minister, Sam Nete-George, was in the House to give an update on the recent decision by the ministry to close down some radio stations here in the country. Remember, they were given some 1 month grace period to fix whatever challenges they had with their licensing and the rest. Today, he was in Parliament to brief members of the House on the latest in respect of this.
The 6 FM stations were directed to cease operations on 18th of February 2025 by the National Communications Authority because they did not have valid authorizations as required by Section 2.4 of the Electronic Communications Act 2008, Act 775. The stations were Fire Group of Companies Limited operating on 90.1 megahertz in Sunyani, ISA Consult Limited operating on 89.7 megahertz in Tamale, Abu Channel Media Group operating on 105.7 megahertz at Adidome, Ochiami Radio Limited operating on 99.7 megahertz in Bibieni, Mumin Bono Foundation operating on 99.7 megahertz in Techiman, and Osikeni Community FM operating on 99.7 megahertz at Nkrankwanta. It is important to note that prior to taking the enforcement actions, Mr. Speaker, all the affected FM stations were given the opportunity to renew their expired authorizations, but they failed to do so. However, the authorizations granted to the 7th radio station, Guma and Sons Limited, to operate a commercial FM station at Boku on 104.9 megahertz was suspended on national security considerations based on a request from the Ministry of Interior acting on the advice of the Upper East Regional Security Council. However, Mr. Speaker, all the other 6 radio stations have since resumed operations after they rectified their infractions. I thank you.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
Speaker, let me thank the Minister for the answers duly provided. Can the Minister apprise this House? Yes, I consider it's given a general nature of infractions. Can he give us the specific infractions related to specific radio stations that were reportedly committed?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I can provide the House specifics. I'll just try and pull that out. Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, in the case of Fire Group of Companies Limited, they were granted the authorization to operate a commercial FM station at Sunyani on 6th of January 2020. This expired on the 5th of January 2025. Fire Group of Companies Limited was required per Regulation 56(1) of the Electronic Communications Regulation 2011 LI 1991 and Condition 4 of the authorization to submit a complete application at least 3 months prior to the expiration of the authorization to renew the said authorization. Mr. Speaker, the NCA notified Fire Group of Companies Limited in a letter dated 16th of December 2024 to submit a complete application to renew its authorization by 5th of January 2025. Fire Group of Companies Limited, however, failed to submit the renewal. Following the expiration of the company's authorization on 5th January 2025, the NCA issued a letter dated 18th February 2025 directing them to cease operation. Like I stated earlier, the station has subsequently submitted a new application and we are processing it, but even during the processing period, in the spirit of good faith, we have asked them to resume operations. 2.
Minister of Communications, Sam George, addressing members of Parliament, giving an update on the decision to close down some radio stations last month. And this is where we bring today's edition of Eyewitness News and Point Blank. That came to you live from our studio here in Accra. Earlier you heard Ajubi Wiafe. My name is Sami Wiafe. Technical assistant Daniel Squashi. The show produced by Bevelyn Landon, Juliana, or Dame, or Asari. Good night.